everyone, and welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I'm Jackie, and Tome Topple is finally here. So, first let me explain what Tome Topple is, if you haven't heard of it. This is a 2-week readathon hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. It is a readathon for bigger books, like books over 500 pages, basically. You can read graphic, there are challenges for the Tome Topple. You don't have to do those challenges if you don't want to, just long as you read books over 500 pages. It's a very relaxed readathon. Like I said, the only request is that you read books over 500 pages. I'm not good at remembering the challenges. I mean, like, I know what they are, but explaining them, I'm not very good at that. I know that one of the challenges is you can read a graphic novel, but if you're most graphic novels are not 500 pages, but so that's a very, like, loose challenge. Like, you could do it, if you find a graphic novel that's 500 pages, then go for it. But they're also not gonna police you about that. So, and also, one of the challenges is read an adult book. And another challenge is read a book from a series, which I've definitely got that covered. I'm trying to think of what else. Read 2 tomes, which I got that one covered. I have no problem reading that one or reading a book from a series. It's just I've never actually finished a tome before. I'm trying to think of what else. What are some of the other challenges? And they will have Instagram challenges, but there's no prizes or anything. And I think they're gonna have sprints as well. I don't ever do like the Instagram challenges or the sprints because, yes, I am on Instagram, but I'm not on Twitter or anything like that. I'm just on here, obviously, and on Instagram and then Facebook. So I could do the Instagram challenge as well, but I get lazy about that. I never keep up with it. So I'm trying to think, what is another? Okay, like I said, you read more than one tome. Read graphic novel. It has to be 500 pages, or you can read an omnibus, but it has to the individual comics I think have to be 500 pages still. You read a tome from a series. I'm trying to think of what else. There's other. I think I got them all covered. I think that's all the challenges. So, let me introduce you to my TBR or possible TBR. The first set are probably ones I'm definitely gonna read for Tome Topple. Okay, so the first one is Mistborn. This is a book I've had for over a year. I have the whole trilogy, in fact, because it was a gift from my best friend, Terry. And I think it's about time I read it. As you can see, I have started reading it, but again, this is a big book. I don't get very far in it. This is just over, let's see, how many pages is this one? This is in the 600 mark. So it's definitely over 500 pages. Like it's like 657 pages. So this is perfect. And this is part of a series. This is the first book in a series. Like I said, I got the series thing covered because a lot of these books here are books in the series. And so is the second book. This actually was one I was reminded of that I need to read. I've already read it once, so it's a reread. It will be a reread. And that is the final book in the main Lunar Chronicles trilogy, because there's also the prequel Fairest, and there's the novella collection Stars Above, which I've already read too, but of course those don't count because Fairest is a novella, so it's really short. And it's definitely not 500 pages, and the short stories are definitely not 500 pages. But this is also covers the whole series thing. And I want to get the coloring book and the graphic novels, because there's graphic novels about one of the characters, but that's a whole nother. There's 823 pages in this book. So this also covers series. So like I said, I have no problem reading books from series. So that's 2 actually, but because I can never narrow it down, and I like to have options because I'm a glutton for punishment and like to draw myself crazy, I also have another book from, well, actually it's not from a series, it's a duology. I need to continue with this one, and this is also over 500 pages. This is the sequel to Six of Crows. And I want to read, this is another one, it's one of these ones where, like, I started it, but then for some reason I got restless. And I wanted to read something else. So, and that's what happened with the first one as well. So the good news is I stopped on a chapter. Sometimes I don't always start on a chapter. But, depending on how long they are. This is about, let's see, how many pages is this? 546 pages. So I want to continue this as well, but who knows if I'll get to this one. I mean, I'm not one of those people that's going to try to finish a 500-page book within a few days. I can't do that. So I'll be dipping my toes. I'm going to try to dip my toes in all these books that I have here, which, again, I'm crazy and neurotic when it comes to my books. But I think most of us are. And then the final book that's, like, I feel like I definitely need to read for Tome Topple is Ken Follett's Fall of Giants. This is the first book in a series, or in a trilogy, actually. And I have been wanting to read this for a while. I have both this series, this trilogy, and the Kingsbridge. I don't know if that's going to be a trilogy or a series. It took him so long to write the 3rd book that I don't know where he's going to go with this. But I've been wanting to read him for a while since I bought his books because they did sound interesting. Like, Pillars of the Earth did sound like an interesting plot. Although I do think I would be more interested in this plot than that one. Because this is my favorite time period. Like, early 20th century. And I like family sagas. So I want to read this one as well. Look at this big puppy. It's a huge little sucker of a book. But, so it's definitely meets the requirements. Let's see how many pages this one is. This is, let's see, 985 pages. So, obviously that's a definite tome. So those are the 4 I think I'm going to try to get to sooner rather than later. And then here's some other tomes I'm thinking about. Voyager. This is the 3rd book in the Outlander series. I still like Outlander. I really enjoy it. I know it has problems. It's not a perfect series. There are a lot of flaws. And I'm not condoning the behavior the things that are in this book that people find questionable. But, I guess in a way it's a guilty pleasure read, because I think guilty pleasure reads are the reads that, they're problematic, and a lot of people don't like them anymore, but you still like them. Like, I guess in a way, Twilight, although I have not read Twilight, but I admit that I still have a soft spot for Twilight, and I was one of the fans. I wasn't a Twihard, but I did really enjoy it. So I think that would also be considered a guilty pleasure read, because I have thought about reading it again, like getting it from the library and reading it again. But I acknowledge that it's problematic elements, and neither of the choices in that book are that great. You either have the controlling stalker or the other controlling stalker. The only difference being that one of them's a vampire, one of them's a werewolf. But anyway, so I want to read this one. It's like, again, this is another book that I start. My problem is I start these books. I just watched another booktuber, I think yesterday, that said that they have that same problem where they'll start books, but then they decide to read something else. So this is another one that I started and I need to read. I need to get back into. So I'm thinking about this one. But again, these are all tomes. These are big books, so I don't know. I also need to continue with the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series, Clash of Kings. This is a buddy read, so technically I'm still buddy reading with this person. And we basically talked about it a little bit. We're going to continue with that, but we both agree that we're not going to put pressure on ourselves. It's going to take a long time to read this big chunker of a book, and there will be other books that will get sidetracked. Like, we're both Sarah J. Maas fans, and she's got the last book in the Throne of Glass series coming out, which is why actually her most recent 2 books are in this pile over here. And then Court of Frost and Starlight had just come out. I still haven't read that one. And I'm trying to think of what else. What else does she have coming out? I think that's it. And then I'm sure she'll be getting started on the next ACOTAR book as well, now that Court of Frost and Starlight, ACOFAST just came out, so. And then there's other books that just come out. Like, I almost bought Legendary last night, but yesterday, because my mom allowed me to go to Books A Million yesterday. She dropped me off and everything. And I say that because I can't. I live with my parents. I'm a dependent, and I don't drive. So, in a way, I'm still kind of, as much, even though I'm a grown woman and I'm almost 30, I still kind of live by their rules. So it's the same thing with the whole bookshelf thing. I mean, I now have my own money, but with big, I just work in a grocery store, so my mom, still will buy me stuff for me, and I don't have a significant other either, so don't be fooled by my physical appearance. And the fact that I constantly am pointing out that I feel like I still kind of have to ask my parents permission for certain things. So, just a little tidbit about myself, a little personal info. But anyway, so I almost bought Legendary, and I almost bought Hunting Prince Dracula, but both were in hardback, and my mom was like, please, I would rather you just buy one book, because I have a convention coming up next month. But I ended up buying 2 books, so that's at least. So at least I didn't buy 3 or 4 books. I bought 2. So I had to make a decision. I decided to stick with paperback books. So I bought The Crown's Fate, and what was the other one? Let me see. Maybe it's over here. I don't know. I don't see. I don't know if it's over here or not. I don't know which one. I can't remember at the moment which one it was, but it was a book in a series, I believe. Anyway, I'll figure it out later. It's not important. So, but anyway, back to Tome Topple. Sorry, I know I always do that, but I think hopefully it makes the videos more interesting. But yeah. So I want to get back into this, and I want to get back into reading it. This is, again, another book that is my second time reading the book, but it still takes me forever to read it. So I want to get back into this as well. Stephen King's It, in case you can't figure that out. And this still holds holds the top spot in my favorite Stephen King books, but I do have The Shining, which I could actually put here in this pile of one of the books I need to read, because I did start reading that one, so that's another one I want to continue with, but I need to save some books for October, so some scary books, but I might do Vic October, reading Victorian literature, because I have some, I think. If North and South is the only one, then I can't do Vic October. Hopefully there's other books I have here that are Victorian literature. I also need to Neil Gaiman's American Gods. I need to get into this one. And despite its size, I think it is over 500 pages. Let me check. But Neil Gaiman has such a backlist of books. Yep. It's 541 pages. So, yep, it's good. So, this can count. I do need to read this one. And he has such a backlist of books that I need to read. Let's hope I'll like this one. I mean, I'm sure I will. And I like the movie versions of some of his books, like Stardust and Coraline. I really enjoyed. Although I hear that I do know that they're different from the books. Like, especially like Stardust, it's really different. So, I do want to read it. Yeah, I know, and funnily enough, that Leslie from Words of Reader says don't start here with Neil Gaiman, but I figure I can get away with that because it's my choice. I chose to do it. So, and plus, I think it's also about reading taste, and I think your reading maturity also has to do with it as well. So, that's another one that I want to read for Tome Topple. I'm thinking about. I also need to get back into this one. I started this one day while I was at the pool. Explorers Guild. And yes, that's Kevin Costner, the actor's name, I believe. I have to go on Goodreads to double check if it's the actual Kevin Costner. The funny thing is, it says Volume 1, but on Goodreads, when I looked, I need to look again, but there didn't seem to be a Volume 2 offered. So, maybe they decided not to do a Volume 2, but this is a bit of an adventure story. I did start a little bit. It is one of those books I feel like I need to read when I'm more awake and alert and not tired to the point where I'm, tuning it, I'm just reading it just to read something. I need to actually pay attention to this. It's basically like a history book. And someone compared it to... In the reviews, they said it felt like the writer John Bart was trying to write like Kipling, which I've never read, but I've seen the animated movie Mowgli, and I've seen live action versions of the movie, The Jungle Book. So, not Mowgli, the book's not called Mowgli. Mowgli is the character. But I love the Disney animated movie. It's one of my favorites. And I've seen the live action, the recent one, not the old one, because I know there's an old one that's live action out there, but the most recent one I saw, and I really liked it, but I never read Kipling, but they compared this book to Kipling, or the author was trying to be like Kipling in his writing style, so I want to get to that one, and this is also a very different book for me, so, yeah. Okay. I also need to get to this one. This is my final book in the reread of Harry Potter. This is the 7th book, the last book. And then I'm going to put these aside, and maybe one day when Harrison is old enough, my nephew, and his brother Daniel, my other nephew, when they're old enough, maybe they'll like Harry Potter. Because I know Harrison loves to read. I don't know. Daniel's still a baby. He'll be 1 next month. So I don't know if he'll like reading or not. I'm hoping he will love it. And I'm going to set these aside for the boys so that maybe one day they'll want to read it. So, but first I need to read it. So, next. Okay, so then, again, this is another one I kind of want to dip my toes back into. Middlemarch. This is a really old, battered copy. The pages are yellow and stuff, but I want to read it. And I probably should have bought a better copy of this, but I'm lazy. So, I want to read this one as well. Again, another one that I've started, and I've taken a break from it since. But I want to read that one. This next one is one that's actually not exactly 500 pages. But I was kind of surprised, though, how many pages it does have. But it's close. Like I said, Sam has said in her announcement video for round 6 that you can't, as long as it's really close, like, she says that books over, like, 400, lower than 475 pages kind of seem the point of this readathon. But if it's close, then it's okay, and like I said, they're not going to police us or anything, they're not going to monitor us, or they're not going to message us and be like, you're supposed to read something over 500 pages, you know? So, and there are books here that I thought about reading for Tome Topple, but, you know, they don't meet the mark. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to read them anyway, and maybe I could just not include them for Tome Topple. But this one is close. It's, like I said, it's almost 509. It's almost there. But, yeah, that's Shadow of the Wind, which was really popular a while back on BookTube, and I saw this one at the used bookstore. You can tell by this. It's just a really battered copy, so yeah, I'm going to check this one out as well. This one, or at least I'm going to try to. And then there's East of Eden. This is actually another one I probably should get to. This is Steinbeck's East of Eden. Hi, baby boy. My dog, you rascal. He's all mad because my mom took the other dog to get a bath. So now he's like, if one of them gets taken to go do something and the other one gets jealous. And they start barking and carrying on nonstop. And if you know about beagles, their barks can be pretty loud and obnoxious. Not as annoying as the small dogs that those really yippy barks, but so I need to get to this. Again, another book that this is the book I've gotten the farthest in, actually. The problem is because this book isn't, like, super exciting or action-packed, you know, it's not like a YA fantasy or anything like that. It's a character story, so sometimes I need to read, I get a little, I hate to say it, but bored. No, and that does not mean I'm not enjoying the book. When I say I'm bored, does not necessarily mean that. You know, I mean, there's some things that, when I'm bored, I'm bored. It means that I'm bored. And I don't want to get into it, but I am still enjoying this book when I read it, and I do want to keep reading it. And it's definitely a tome, so yep, it's 599 pages, so it's almost 600 pages. So yeah, this one also is another one that I need to read. And then this one, I took this one down, and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norwell, again, a book I bought from the used bookstore. That's why I want to read this one as well. I started it, and I want to read more of it. So, and I enjoyed it when I read it. So, excuse me. This is one that I've had for a long time. One of the longest books I've had. And that is Wizard in Glass, the fourth book in Stephen King's The Dark Tower series. Out of all these books, this is the book I've had the longest, so this is one of the books I probably really should concentrate most on. Although I'm told that you don't have to read this book because, yes, it's part of the series, but it's like Roland, our main protagonist, is telling his quartet, his group of followers, you know, his team, that he's telling them a little story, a little folktale, I believe. So that's what this one is about. So it's not part of the main plot. But because it's part of the series, I feel obligated to read, and I feel like I don't want to skip any of the books in the series. So, and I feel other people that are Stephen King fans and read the Dark Tower series would feel the same way. So, yeah, I need to get back into this one. And this is another one. That's my problem with Stephen King, is I take forever to read his books because he writes chunkers of books. Which reminds me, Eyes of the Dragon is another one of his books I need to read. Which is less intimidating because of the big print helps. Okay, so, okay. Oh, I gotta scoot these over a little. Okay, so next, this is one that I got myself. Lies of Locke Lamora. This is one that actually Sam herself, the host, loves this book in this series. I still need to get Red Seas Under Red Skies. I need to get that one as well. I just realized that is actually the second one. I thought Republic of Thieves was the second one, so I bought that one when I bought this one. But it's not the second one, it's the third one, I believe. So I need to get the other one before I can read the other one. So this one I want to read as well. And I don't know if I'll, I think I should, so far I'm more interested in this one than Treasure Island, which I DNF'd. And because and I say that because it's kind of a similar, it's a pirate, I feel like this is kind of a pirate story. And that one obviously was a pirate story as well, but and maybe it's because of the old writing style. Sometimes that writing style I can't always get into. So, and so far this one is, very modern. Yes, it's a lot, but it's still a more modern writing style. So I want to read this one as well. Like I said, I probably won't get to all these. I need to really get my priorities straight. But this is also kind of a video listing all the not all of them, but the tomes that I have that I probably should think about reading and getting through. And I might do this new thing where I read at least one tome a month, where I start a tome or something. I don't know. Tomes are they take me forever to read, and then I feel like I have to put most of my attention on a tome, and I have so many other books that aren't tome size. I also took down The Count of Monte Cristo. This is one that people have told me they love. It's a great book. But again, I have to get past some of the more dry parts to get into it, I feel like. Unfortunately, this is a big, big book. I did see a smaller size at the used bookstore, but then I was thinking, no, because I already have it, and I don't know if I want to get rid of this copy, and I feel like, at the same time, part of me is like, I shouldn't have 2 copies. Like, I feel guilty for having 2 copies. So, but I need to read this one because I hear it's a good book and really fun and adventurous, and I did enjoy the movie, which I know that this is only like half the movie. That's the problem. These books are like only half. When they make a movie, it's only half the book. So yeah, I want to read this one as well. And then I also took off my shelf as a tome, and that's over 1,000 pages, I think, is The Rook, which this is one of Reagan from Peruse Project. It's on her list of favorites, I believe. And this one is, and again, this is an aluminum plastic cover because it was originally a library book. And it even still has this thing in it. The little, when you get a book from the library, they stamp the date in there. It still has that in there. But it was just, let me see how many pages this is. So, I believe it's 500. Oh, no, it's not. But it's close. For another book that's close to 500, but it's not, is 486. 486 pages. So, again, some of these are just really close. The last 2, and I kind of mentioned these, and that is I need to read these 2, and I'm thinking about reading them at the same time because they happen at the same time, I hear. Empire of Storms, book 5. This is book 5 in the Throne of Glass, and this is book 6. And I got this one for $497. But unfortunately, it's not like a special exclusive edition. It's not a nice edition, so it has nothing in the inside except for like a map, I think. We know her books are long, but I'm just going to check and see how many pages. 693 pages, almost 700 pages. And this one is, let's see, does it have a map? Am I right? Yep. Because it introduced a new location, the Southern Continent, in this book. And I just, it bugs me when people are all like, oh, it's a good book, even if it has kale in it. It's like, yes, I get that he was no saint or anything in what he did, you know, but, I mean, you know, it's like, oh, it's a good book, but even though it has kale in it, you know, it's like, he's a human character. Do you want your character to be all perfect? Do they have to be perfect all the time to love them? I mean, or do they just have to do stuff that you are okay with, and you are like, oh, it's okay because of this reason, but what Kale did was not okay. I mean, yes, I know it resulted in a character's death, but don't act like all the other characters haven't made those kind of decisions. It's not like he deliberately meant to not tell her. But, like I said, he's human. Sorry, I'm just trying to see how many pages this is. 660 pages. And the series continues in 2018. So, and I think City of Ash, I think it's coming out this year. But, 660 pages. So, it meets the criteria. So, out of all these books, it will depend on which one I'm most excited about. So, sorry this video is long. I like talking to myself, so this is, like, perfect for me. So I can ramble all I want. And so are any of you guys participating in Tome Topple? If you are, I'd love to hear what books you're reading. Are you crazy like me and have so many choices that you present to yourself that you can't narrow it down? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. And much love to my already subscribed viewers. And I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening to my rambling. Bye.